When I was 10 years old, a change happened in my life. Grandma decided to come live with us. This came after Granddad passed away 6 months earlier. Looking back, it seemed like Grandma was feeling really lonely in their house surrounded by sadness and memories. Despite some pushback from my mom, my parents welcomed her into our home. Personally, I had no issues with Grandma moving. In fact, I was happy about it. Grandma had a personality of laughter and happiness qualities that meant a lot to me. She always had a stash of boiled sweets that she would sneak to me whenever she could. She never hesitated to support me when I got into trouble. What I cherished the most were her stories. Grandma had tales to tell from her childhood experiences during World War II adventures she had with her friends on the South Coast after being evacuated. Some of these stories were scary, left me both frightened and fascinated. It was the ones that stayed with me the longest. Grandma had a talent for telling stories, sharing tales from her youth when she explored the world of Ouija boards, tarot cards, and fortune-telling. Although I usually brushed off most of these stories or forgot them after a few, did give me chills given my young age. One such tale that haunted my thoughts was the story of the shower Mr. Longfingers. One evening, as Grandma and I conversed in the dim glow of my bedroom, she recounted this chilling narrative. She described the shower as a place fraught with peril, emphasizing the danger of closing one's eyes for more than 10 seconds. According to her, a mysterious entity known as Mr. Longfingers lurked in the steamy confines of the shower, waiting to strike if one dared to close their eyes for too long. Listening to Grandma's tale, I couldn't help but feel a shiver of fear run down my spine. The mere thought of encountering such a sinister presence sent chills coursing through my body. As the days passed, Grandma's story began to exert its grip on my imagination, particularly during my daily routines. Bathing, once a mundane task, now became a nerve-wracking ordeal. Every time I closed my eyes in the shower, Grandma's warnings echoed in my mind, prompting me to hasten my washing in a desperate attempt to avoid Mr. Longfinger's malevolent gaze. My newfound apprehension did not go unnoticed by my mother, who, upon discovering my distress, confronted Grandma about her alarming tale. Their ensuing conversation, carried out in hushed tones behind closed doors, revealed my mother's displeasure with Grandma's choice of storytelling. She deemed it inappropriate and detrimental to my well-being, a sentiment that resonated with my father as well. When my mother disapproved of something and tension brewed at home, Grandma paid me a visit one evening to talk about it. This time, she didn't share any stories or scary tales. Instead, she sat beside me with a look on her face, reassured me that she was looking out for me. Even though Grandma tried to calm my fears, I couldn't shake off a feeling of unease, a sense that something bad was about to happen. But feeling came true one morning when the peace of our home was shattered by the sound of rushing water from the bathroom. Sensing trouble, I hurried towards the noise with my heart racing in fear. As I reached the bathroom door, I noticed it wasn't locked, a sign that things were urgent. So with trembling hands, I pushed it open only to witness a scene. There lay Grandma on the shower floor lifeless, with her eyes now empty and still. After Grandma's death, my family attributed it to a heart attack, a comforting explanation amidst grief. Down inside, I held on to the truth. The fear instilled by Mr. Longfingers went beyond superstition for me. It was a truth that led to the loss of my dear Grandma. As I dealt with the aftermath of her passing, one persistent idea troubled me. The imprints his fingers left on the shower glass were not limited to the surface alone. Imagine being trapped in a nightmare, where each day feels like a journey through the maze of your own thoughts. For 2 years, I've been caught in a game orchestrated by pure evil, a serial killer with no limits to his cruelty. He didn't just harm my body. He shattered my sanity, leaving me lost in a sea of darkness with no way. Seeking justice has turned into a quest, battling against forces determined to drag me into despair. It all started innocently, so I thought, when I took on what seemed like a job as a private investigator, looking for a missing girl. Little did I know that this routine case would lead me into darkness, blurring the line between hunter and hunted into a dance of hopelessness. Each clue brought me closer to a man hidden in shadows and paranoia so thick it was suffocating. Weeks turned into months, as I carefully watched his every move, convinced he held the answers to the mystery that consumed my every thought. But my confidence was shattered like glass when I fell victim to his diabolical machinations. As I lay unconscious, ensnared by the tendrils of his malevolence, he defiled my body with a savagery that defied comprehension, leaving behind a gruesome tableau of mutilation and despair. When consciousness returned like a cruel joke, I found myself thrust into a waking nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Each passing day brought with it a fresh wave of terror, as taunting phone calls and grisly packages served as grim reminders of his insatiable appetite for cruelty. With each photograph that arrived, each piece of evidence that taunted me from the darkness, I felt the weight of guilt and despair crushing down upon me like a vise threatening to suffocate the very essence of my being. Despite my desperate attempts to elude him, he always found me, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror in his wake. Each new package delivered a fresh wave of horror, each photograph a haunting reminder of my own impotence in the face of his depravity. The scars of his atrocities mastered not only my body but also my soul, etching themselves into the very fabric of my being like a brand of shame that can never be erased. Haunted by the ghosts of my past, I find myself trapped in a never-ending cycle of fear and despair, each day bleeding seamlessly into the next like a twisted tapestry of suffering. As the darkness closes in around me, I'm left with only one question echoing in the recesses of my shattered mind. How much longer can I endure this relentless torment? I'm a prisoner of my own fear, a victim of his insatiable appetite for cruelty. And as the shadows grow ever darker, I fear that there may be no escape from the abyss into which I've been cast.